Good morning and welcome to Friday's edition of Dialogue. Today on the program Dialogue, we'll be looking at Nigeria and how we stand with this nation today. More than any other time, the country needs peace, and the people to be there for us is just the Nigerians to hold on to peace and, of course, keep the entity called Nigeria one. That's where we are with what Nigeria is all about today. This morning on the program, Peace Building, I have with me Sami Ihejirika. Sami Ihejirika, he has had 30 years in the business of building peace, and this has gone across the Niger Delta, Kaduna State, Plateau, Bauchi, Taraba, where he has been involved in peace building. And more than any other time, Nigeria needs to build peace across the bridges. Sami, good morning. I'm glad to have you on the program.
Thank you very much.
Yes, here we are with Nigeria, and for some people, Nigeria is on the cliff, and just a little push, and the center might not just be able to hold again. So, more than any other time, this peace that Nigeria needs so much, where are we with peace building in Nigeria today?
Well, thank you very much. I have been on your program several times, for different occasions to talk about issues of peace and how it relates to those issues that have been raised. Now, and in each of these programs, I have always said certain things, which may be the way I said them or people don't really pay serious attention to them. For example, when I say we have been maneuvered into a deep pit, politicians, elite, whoever, Nigeria has been maneuvered into a very deep pit. And instead of us to stop digging, we're still digging. Further. Instead of us to find a way to come out of the pit, we keep digging. And that's exactly what I see happening now. Then secondly, we say think big and save time. You see, we don't think big, we think small. And in the process, a lot of things go wrong, So like, for example, our budget, the way we do things, we like to do them in bits. If you think big and plan for 50 years, and get it properly done, you find that as time goes on, all you have to be doing is a slight amendment, and all this kind of confusion we have about, dealing with these things. They say if you have a big heart, think big, think that you have a big heart. If you have a big heart, you can accommodate somebody. But if you have a bigger heart, you can accommodate lots of more people. Again, I always say that it's possible to live in peace. Very possible to live in peace. So, how is it possible? Take an example of a coin. A coin has two sides from what we know. But actually the coin has three sides. The head, the tail, and the edge. But people don't talk about the edge because it's a difficult thing to do. That if you flip a coin, it's either head or tail. So, but people don't consider that small edge is also part of the coin. So it's that side. And what does it mean? That edge is the binding force that holds the tail and the head together. And in that place, it's a small window, but it has lots of opportunities. All the opportunities are there. Common ground, all that, they're all there. So, but we're all used to doing things we're familiar with, and it's either head or tail. Let me take another thing I've said here. Wisdom and knowledge. So there's a lot of knowledge going on around. In universities, everywhere, people are gathering knowledge. And this knowledge is supposed to be applied to improve the lot of human beings, lift people out of poverty and create new things, But here we see that people don't match knowledge with action, with transformation. So we say people are wise. Wise people are those who use knowledge to bring about change and deal with the problems, numerous problems people are having. But what we see today that the knowledge is a waste because it can't be translated into progress. People come out of universities, it's a sham. They can't get themselves involved, and we have a whole lot of problems coming out of that. From mediocrity, the way our educational system is organized, that we don't train people who can bring about change.
We've had this entity going for 56 years.
Yes.
And when you talk about knowledge, the application of knowledge into keeping this entity going.
We've not done it well.
We've not done well. And the question again being put here would be that did we ever get it right in this 56 years?
No, not from the beginning. Because the foundations are bad. We shall come to that, The foundations are bad. So it's difficult, really to there are a whole lot of things which I said in this program. But in any case, I think I'd like to give you my take, the way I see the Nigerian situation.
Yes, seeing the Nigerian situation.
Yes. Now, I see the Nigerian situation like a tree. A tree. In the forest, there are so many trees. Or we plant trees. You see what I mean? You plant trees, and we expect that when this tree grows up, or this crop grows up, a tree, it will be a strong tree, living well, giving the impression of who we are. That tree is like a Hiroko. It's strong, it's big, and it keeps regenerating and nourishing itself along, all the way. So let me take this to the Nigerian example. We plant these trees, what I might call the conflict tree. We plant these trees in the family. We plant the trees in the individual minds. We plant in the family, in the community, schools, local governments, state government, up to the federal level. So we plant these trees. Ordinarily, every tree has roots, stem,
branches,
and the branches. The roots nourish nourishment from the soil and send them to the stem to be semi-processed. Like we talk about raw materials. We get them, we put them into a process and semi-processed. Then you send them to where they be properly refined and you see the result and the product. So we have the roots that move things to the nutrients to the stem, and the stem takes it to the branches, where the branches will synthesize them and bring them back as more nourishment for the plant and for everybody else. So when the flower is booming, the trees are fresh, we are very happy about it. But that's not the case with Nigeria. So we are planting a tree I call the conflict tree. In some places I call it the evil tree. Now this evil tree, the roots are just not there. They're not good. What do you have at the roots? Nepotism, ethnic divisions, dealing with multi-ethnicity and pluralism, religion. These are the things that were sown in this. And the British helped us to consolidate this root. They brought the nutrients that are making this root have all this. And the taproot, the main issue there, the taproot, which is the biggest root and can influence what other roots do, is our attitude. We talk about the other smaller problems. We have to deal with corruption. We have to deal with that. We have to solve this problem. But if you don't deal with your attitude, it's not going to work. You can fight corruption. You can do everything. But Nigerians have bad attitude. You can see it on the streets. You can see it in the relationship between government and people. You can see it in people to relations. So it's not so good. So with all this, we move this. People who we elect already have these roots. And that's what they take to their National Assembly, which is the stem, where policies are made. And the product is, put in a semi-finished product. So the legislation and all what they form the context and determine what will be sent to the leaves. So we see all kinds of problems like this there. So with the leaves now, what are we seeing in Nigeria? Banditry, unemployment, hunger, schools are closed, for function. So we keep on complaining. But if we want to do something differently, we have to find a way to shift this. Some people say if you want to get away with the evil tree, you either cut the branches, but it can grow back. Or you cut the stem, it can still grow back. Or you uproot it. So people are suggesting we uproot Nigeria. Or we cut the stem. or we take out the leaves. But that's not going to solve the problem. We don't want the tree to die. This tree called Nigeria, we don't want it to die.
So what do we begin to do?
So we want to move it to a more positive situation.
When the root itself is faulty.
Yes. And how do we do that? How do we do that? We got to change the nutrients.
That feeds the
roots. So when we're talking about the manifestations we see from the branches and the trees and the fruits and all that, you don't deal with the problem. If you cut it out, the problem is still there. So you must get down to the root. And the deepest root is the taproot. And that is our attitude. So attitude in Nigeria is a liability for all what is happening. And unless we change our attitude, nothing will change.
Will this come with new generation?
Hold on. There's a saying that if you change your attitude, you change everything around you. So if Nigerians don't change the attitude towards each other, stop all this hate speeches and all that, nothing is going to change. So the moment we change our attitude, we're able to do.
Would it be a generational change that you call for now?
Well,
I mean, because the roots there from the very beginning.
You see, the generational change is a difficulty because people have developed certain perceptions over the years, from socialization to interactions and society. They have developed a certain perception, and this perception feeds this attitude we have. So the way you see the world is the way you respond to it. If you see the world as negative, you have to prepare to do negative things to deal with it. So the way we are responding is the way how our perceptions are leading us to have very bad attitudes. Take for example, stereotypes. Oh, this man is bad, this guy is from here, so therefore he's this, it's dangerous. It's very dangerous. So we need to see a situation where we don't stereotype people, we don't blame people, but we look at the situation, what we can do to change the situation. In Nigeria, people do a whole lot of analysis in the newspapers. We know what the problem is, what needs to be done, but how do we do it? That's the problem. How do we change the attitude? So this new tree, if we change our attitude, could have positive things in the nutrients. And with those positive things, the stem, which is the legislature and all, they will our elected members will take all those things there, prepare the thing properly to take it to the leaves. And the leaves will now blossom and be fresh and nice, and everybody will love it. So if we are trying to build Nigeria, we must go deeper. It's not just doing a fire brigade solution problems.
Where does leadership come in all of this, to change perception, attitude, and all of that?
Well, let me take it down. Let me take it down to another level. Why are we unable to do these things? Why can't we make this change from the conflict tree to the peace tree, from the evil tree to a prosperous tree? How? Now, the problem is that we have been handling conflicts in this country with styles that don't work. If we want to make this change to that place, we say, if you want change, stop doing those things that cause the problem in the first place. So if you keep on repeating the same tactics and it won't work. So you have to change. I think that there's a lot of work to be done in terms of looking at the deep roots and doing something about it. So in essence, with five different ways of dealing with conflicts, we have settled for 4, and we're not doing the 5th one. The first one is avoidance. We are in denial that there's no problem because people who want change don't want change to happen. And we cannot confront our problems frontally and do something about it. So we're all in denial, and nobody wins in this situation. The next thing we're doing is confrontation or domination. We want to dominate other people. We want to dominate them. We want our style, our way to be theirs. It cannot work. You see impunity and all sorts of things happening. It cannot work. So if that happens, as it happens, it's our way and no other way, and which is a very difficult thing. So the next level, the next level is what you call accommodation. When you displease yourself, deny yourself, lose your comfort to make somebody else happy. In most cases, the person you are making happy is winning and you're losing. And it's not sustainable. So the person who is losing, or the person who is winning, takes you for granted. That if you show a sign of toughness or something, you will do what he wants you to do. Then we have compromise, which we have been using here in Nigeria. We have done all kinds of compromise. You give a little, you win a little. We have had so many programs, ethnic minority, balancing, something balancing, rotational presidency, all those things. We've done so many of those programs helping to deal with the situation. But those programs have not solved the problem.